What happens when two sisters who built their entire identities around beauty, romance, and life in front of the cameras suddenly find themselves watching all of it slip away? 4 years, Darcey and Stacey Silva seemed unstoppable. Their glamorous lifestyles, matching appearances, and emotional openness made them two of the most recognizable faces in reality television. Yet behind the designer clothes, platinum blonde hair, luxury lifestyle, and countless cosmetic procedures was a story filled with heartbreak, disappointment, and constant reinvention. From failed relationships and public humiliation to controversial surgeries and a marriage that nearly drove the sisters apart, the Silva twins experienced more emotional turmoil than most people face in a lifetime. Their journey to fame was never as glamorous as it appeared, and the reality behind the cameras proved far more painful than anyone expected. Long before they became reality television stars, Darcey and Stacey Silva were determined to build successful careers in entertainment. Born on September 23, 1974, in Connecticut, the twin sisters always dreamed of making names for themselves. Darcey pursued acting at the prestigious Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute in New York City between 1998 and 2001, while also studying at both the University of Houston and Marshall University. Their ambitions extended far beyond acting. In October 2010, the sisters launched their own fashion brand, House of 11, a company that carried deep emotional significance because it was created in memory of their late brother, Michael Silva, who passed away from cancer in 1998. His death left an enormous impact on their family and strengthened the sisters' determination to succeed together. Rather than allowing tragedy to define them, they poured their grief into building a business that honored his memory and symbolized their unbreakable bond. That same year, they attempted to break into reality television by filming a pilot titled The Twin Life, produced by 360 Digital Studios. The show focused on their personal lives, relationships, careers, and experiences raising their children. Although the series never made it to television, the rejection only fueled their determination. Refusing to give up, they launched their own production company, 11th Entertainment, and later served as executive producers, alongside their father, on the 2013 comedy film White Tea. While none of these projects brought the widespread recognition they were hoping for, each one moved them a little closer to the spotlight they believed was waiting for them. Everything changed in 2017 when Darcey joined 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days alongside her sister Stacey. Darcey entered the series believing she had finally found lasting love with Dutch boyfriend Jesse Meester. Viewers watched her travel across the Atlantic with dreams of marriage and a future together, but those dreams quickly unraveled. Instead of a fairy tale romance, audiences witnessed a relationship dominated by emotional arguments, constant misunderstandings, and explosive confrontations. Their disagreements over everything from trust to Darcey's drinking habits became some of the show's most talked about moments. The relationship eventually ended in devastating fashion when Jesse traveled to New York for the sole purpose of ending their romance, creating one of the most embarrassing and heartbreaking breakups ever seen in the franchise. Rather than disappearing after such a public humiliation, Darcey returned to the franchise with renewed hope. This time she introduced viewers to British businessman Tom Brooks, whom she described as mature, stable, and completely different from Jesse. Unfortunately, history repeated itself. As their relationship progressed, Tom secretly developed feelings for another woman before finally admitting the truth to Darcey. His infamous comment that he loved her like a sister instantly became one of the coldest and most painful moments of her reality television journey. To make matters even worse, Tom later implied that Darcey herself was the common factor behind all of her failed relationships. Eventually, Tom and Jesse even appeared to unite in their criticism of Darcey, with Jesse claiming they had both been manipulated by her. For viewers, it was a shocking spectacle. For Darcey, however, it became another painful chapter in an increasingly public search for love. While her romantic life repeatedly fell apart on national television, another part of her life was quietly thriving. House of 11 continued growing into a legitimate fashion brand, attracting celebrity customers including Demi Lovato, Nicki Minaj, Jessica Alba, and several other high-profile figures. The business provided the financial stability that reality television alone never could. Reports suggested Darcey earned around $15,000 per season from 90 Day Fiancé, along with approximately $2,500 for reunion specials, but House of 11 remained the true foundation of the twins' growing empire. Even when relationships failed and public criticism intensified, their fashion business continued moving forward. By the time the sisters finally secured their own television series, they had already endured years of rejection, heartbreak, and relentless determination. Every setback had shaped the women audiences thought they knew. Yet none of those struggles would compare to what happened after they finally achieved everything they had spent years chasing. Their own show would make them more famous than ever before, but it would also expose them to a level of scrutiny, criticism, and personal turmoil that neither sister could have imagined. Instead of becoming the beginning of their happily ever after, it marked the start of their most dramatic unraveling, as public opinion shifted from admiration to concern and millions of viewers watched the Silva twins' carefully constructed world begin to crack. The success that had eluded Darcey and Stacey Silva for years finally arrived in the summer of 2020. On June 29, Entertainment Weekly announced that the twins would be starring in their own TLC series, Darcey and Stacey. Premiering on August 16, 2020, the show promised viewers an intimate look at their family life, businesses, romances, and personal struggles in Middletown, Connecticut. Audiences immediately embraced the concept. More than 2.1 million viewers tuned in for the premiere, making TLC the highest-rated cable network on Sunday nights during its debut. For the first time, the sisters were no longer supporting characters in someone else's story, they had become the main attraction. The series revolved around the parallel lives of the identical twins. Darcey continued pursuing love with Bulgarian fitness model Georgi Rusev, while Stacey prepared for marriage with her longtime Albanian partner, Florian Sukic. Their contrasting relationships created endless drama, emotional confrontations, and unforgettable television. Every disagreement, celebration, and family conflict unfolded before millions of viewers, giving fans unprecedented access to the sisters' private lives. After years of chasing recognition, the Silva twins finally had everything they had worked for. Ironically, that success also placed every decision they made under a microscope. Nothing demonstrated that more clearly than their decision to undergo extensive cosmetic surgery together during the show's second season. Determined to achieve what they proudly called a twin transformation, the sisters traveled to Turkey for a series of procedures they believed would help them look younger, fresher, and more identical than ever. The operations included fox eye surgery to elongate their eyes, corrective nose procedures, cheek lifts, buccal fat removal, 360 vasoliposuction, and breast lifts. Their surgeon described the extensive makeover as a Barbie touch-up surgery, while Darcey enthusiastically explained that they simply wanted everything lifted up on their bodies. Although the sisters celebrated the results, viewers reacted in exactly the opposite way. Social media exploded with criticism almost immediately. Fans who had followed Darcey and Stacey for years expressed disbelief at how dramatically their appearances had changed. Many argued that the twins had crossed a line from cosmetic enhancement into obvious overcorrection. Online discussions spread rapidly across Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, and entertainment forums, where thousands of comments questioned whether the sisters had become addicted to plastic surgery. Some described the transformation as heartbreaking rather than glamorous, while others openly wondered why two naturally attractive women continued altering their faces so dramatically. The criticism became even more intense after fans learned that the sisters had promoted Istanbul's Comfort Zone Surgery Center, a clinic whose reputation had already been questioned following reports of botched procedures involving other patients. As controversy continued to build, the surgeries became one of the defining topics surrounding the show. Instead of discussing their relationships or careers, much of the public conversation focused on their changing appearances. By May 2024, the backlash had reached an entirely new level. After a cameo birthday message featuring Darcey circulated online, viewers flooded the comment sections with emotional reactions to her appearance. Many longtime supporters admitted they barely recognized her, with some calling the transformation tragic and others expressing genuine sadness rather than mockery. The criticism became so overwhelming that Darcey eventually made her Instagram account private after enduring wave after wave of negative comments. Even that decision sparked additional discussion, with fans speculating about the emotional toll constant public scrutiny had taken on her. The criticism wasn't directed solely at the twins. Many viewers blamed Beverly Hills plastic surgeon Dr. Robert G. Dorfman, accusing him of encouraging the sisters' repeated cosmetic procedures. Some critics even demanded disciplinary action against the doctor, arguing that he had enabled an unhealthy obsession with cosmetic enhancement. Whether fair or not, public opinion had changed dramatically. The Silva twins, once celebrated for their confidence and glamorous personalities, were increasingly viewed as examples of the dangers of chasing physical perfection. Despite the relentless criticism, neither sister appeared willing to slow down. The television series continued documenting their personal lives as Darcey and Georgi entered couples counseling, while plans for a double wedding with Stacey and Florian generated fresh storylines. Yet the audience's perspective had fundamentally shifted. The glamorous lifestyle that once inspired viewers now served as a cautionary tale. Fans who had once admired Darcey's confidence were now pleading with her to stop changing her appearance, insisting she needed support rather than another cosmetic procedure. What had started as criticism of beauty choices had gradually evolved into genuine concern for her well-being. As the controversy surrounding their appearance dominated headlines, another crisis was quietly unfolding behind the scenes, one that had nothing to do with plastic surgery. The real heartbreak would come from the very relationships that had made the sisters famous in the first place. While cosmetic surgery and public criticism dominated the headlines, the deepest wounds in Darcey Silva's life had nothing to do with her appearance. Throughout her reality television career, she had always believed that true happiness would come from finding lasting love. Every new relationship represented another chance to build the fairy tale ending she had imagined for years. Unfortunately, each romance seemed to follow the same heartbreaking cycle: hope, commitment, conflict, and painful disappointment. By the time Darcey and Stacey reached its later seasons, viewers were no longer just watching a dating journey. They were witnessing a woman desperately trying to prove to herself, and to the world, that she was worthy of the happy ending she had spent so long chasing. Georgi Rusev quickly became the center of that dream. The Bulgarian fitness model first entered Darcey's life after reaching out through social media in 2020. Their chemistry appeared immediate, and despite the emotional scars left behind by her previous relationships with Jesse Meester and Tom Brooks, Darcey threw herself into the romance with complete optimism. Fans watched as the couple grew closer throughout the first season of Darcey and Stacey, and before long Georgi proposed. For Darcey, the engagement represented far more than a promise of marriage. It felt like redemption. After years of failed relationships playing out in front of millions of viewers, she believed she had finally found someone willing to build a future with her. However, the honeymoon phase didn't last long. As the cameras continued filming, cracks in the relationship became impossible to ignore. Trust issues, financial disagreements, communication problems, and emotional misunderstandings slowly replaced the excitement that had once defined their romance. Family members questioned Georgi's intentions, while Darcey's friends repeatedly warned her that history might be repeating itself. Every disagreement seemed to escalate into another emotional confrontation, leaving viewers wondering whether the relationship could survive. Instead of planning their future together, the couple spent much of their time trying to repair damage that seemed to grow worse with every passing episode. Eventually, the engagement collapsed under the weight of those unresolved problems. Once again, Darcey found herself facing public heartbreak. Yet despite everything that had happened, neither she nor Georgi seemed completely ready to walk away. The two reconciled months later, convincing themselves that time apart had given them a better understanding of one another. During the summer of 2021, Georgi proposed for a second time during a romantic beach ceremony, creating one of the most emotional moments of the series. Viewers who had watched Darcey endure years of disappointment hoped this second chance would finally lead to the stable relationship she had always dreamed about. Sadly, the optimism faded almost as quickly as it had returned. The same problems that had ended the first engagement resurfaced once again. Miscommunication continued to strain the relationship, arguments became increasingly frequent, and trust remained fragile. By February 2022, Darcey publicly confirmed that they had ended their engagement for a second time. She explained that the relationship simply wasn't moving in a healthy direction anymore and admitted that communication between them had completely broken down. For loyal viewers, the announcement felt painfully familiar. It was another chapter in a story that seemed determined to repeat itself no matter how many fresh starts the couple attempted. As the fourth season of Darcey and Stacey unfolded, audiences watched Darcey make another determined effort to move forward with her life. Refusing to let another failed relationship define her, she hired a professional matchmaker and opened herself to meeting new people. The show documented dates with men named Cicero and Zach, each offering what appeared to be another opportunity for a fresh beginning. Despite her willingness to try again, neither relationship developed into anything meaningful. The chemistry simply wasn't there, and once again Darcey found herself confronting the same loneliness she had spent years trying to escape. While Darcey struggled to find stability, Stacey's relationship with Florian Sukic appeared to be entering a happier chapter. During the Season 4 finale, Stacey and Florian celebrated by renewing their wedding vows in an emotional ceremony surrounded by family and friends. Darcey proudly stood beside her sister as maid of honor, smiling through the celebration despite her own romantic disappointments. Yet behind the scenes, events were unfolding that surprised